Welcome back, Patriots. I'm Ron Kern, and thanks for tuning in to episode number 13 of the Patriot Power Freedom Files, a journey into the heart of American Revolution history. Each video is designed to be short yet informative, as I don't want to take up too much of your time. As I mentioned in the last couple of episodes, the audio from this video series will now be included as an episode on my podcast. On this day in history, January 24th, 1781, LightHorse Harry Lee and Francis Marion attacked Georgetown, South Carolina. Now, Georgetown was a Loyalist stronghold protected by about 300 British troops. LightHorse Harry Lee, whose real name was Henry Lee, was a Virginia lawyer who became very famous for commanding light troops on horseback during the American Revolution. Hence the name LightHorse Harry Lee. Henry's second cousin, Richard Henry Lee, actually signed the Declaration of Independence. Now, also interesting is Henry was distantly related to Thomas Jefferson through his great-grandmother. More widely known is that one day he would give birth to a boy who would later grow up and lead the Army of Northern Virginia against the Union during the Civil War. His son's name was Robert E. Lee. Francis Marion, mostly recognized as the Swamp Fox, was a South Carolina planter who became famous for his guerrilla-type tactics against British troops during their Southern campaign. Marion led a group of South Carolina militia that would hide out in the swamps, come out and attack the unsuspecting British troops and loyalists, and then melt back into the swamps. Marion became so hated by the British that his capture or death became a top priority of General Charles Cornwallis, who, as you know, or may not know, was the British Army leader in the South. Marion was promoted during the war to the rank of Brigadier General, and if you've seen the movie The Patriot, and we watch this every year, Mel Gibson's character is based off of Francis Marion. On January 21st, 1781, Lee and Marion led an attack on Georgetown, South Carolina. The plan was to attack Riverside Town from two directions. One group was going to attack the island in the river, where they had hidden the night before. Lee's cavalry was then to attack from the land and meet up with the ground troops in town. The town had a small fort, but was very weakly fortified. So when the attack began, the ground soldiers coming from the river quickly captured the garrison's leader. The Americans were quite surprised when there was hardly any resistance at all from the British soldiers. And the loyalists all went into their homes and stayed put. They just said, you know what, whatever you want to do, I'm just going to go inside. The soldiers could have easily taken the fort and captured several more cannon held there, but Lee's cavalry was too late. Eventually, they decided to just leave and give up the few captives they held because they were wary of the losses that they would take if they tried to take the fort in addition. The British used the incident to sack Lieutenant Colonel Campbell, the garrison's leader, as this guy was disliked by his own troops and might be the reason why his men didn't put up a fight or even try to defend the fort. Lee and Marion would go on and have numerous victories throughout the rest of the year and the rest of the American Revolution. They would capture British forts across the region and also breaking down British communication between the British in the North and the British in the South Carolinas permanently. At George Washington's funeral on December 26, 1799, LightHorse Henry Lee famously said of Washington in front of a crowd of 4,000 people, "Washington was first in war, first in peace, and first in the hearts of his countrymen." Lee's life would take a turn as he was captured when trying to defend a friend of his, and he happened to be an editor of a newspaper that was against the War of 1812. A mob broke into the building, and Lee and several others were hiding there, and a big beating took place for over 3 hours. One, in fact, was so injured that he died. Lee suffered head trauma, facial damage, and the beating was so severe it actually affected his speech. He actually went then to the West Indies to try and recover, which he did partially, but on his way back from the Indies, he died on March 25, 1818, at just 62 years old. Francis Marion started his military career fighting in the French and Indian War. During the war, he participated in several key battles. For example, the Battle of Wamba Swamp, which took place in 1781. Marion and his men engaged in a battle against the British at Wamba Swamp. Now, the Swamp Fox and his forces successfully ambushed the British, as he had done many times before, forcing them to retreat. And this victory further cemented his reputation as a skilled and cunning military leader. After the Battle of Wamba Swamp, Marion led a series of raids on British supply lines and outposts. These actions disrupted British operations, and his success in these raids earned him the admiration of his fellow revolutionaries. Numerous landmarks are named after Marion, including Francis Marion University. Myrtle Beach actually has a roller coaster named after him called the Swamp Fox, and the Marionberry is named after the county in Oregon, and so derives its name from him. He died on his plantation in 1795 at the age of 63. Give this video a heart, a like, follow, subscribe, and share, or heck, do all of them. And share with somebody that you think might like it as well. We are on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And of course, all of these videos are indexed and organized for you at patriotpowerpodcast.com. And with that, if you are looking for a more in-depth discussion and chronological story of the American Revolution, which includes some bonus episodes, check out my podcast, which is called the Patriot Power Podcast and is available on all platforms. That's not all. The podcast website includes show notes, videos, pictures, links, maps, and a ton more resources neatly organized and compiled for you. So it allows you to dive even deeper into a show's topics if maybe that particular show interested you. Again, everything is ready for you at patriotpowerpodcast.com. And thanks so much for watching and learning about what happened in history on today's date.